laugh like hell. Let's have some fun doing it. That's a big part of it. But let's just don't waste any time or energy. It's all about winning. Please reflect that each and every day.
It's time for another edition of the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco, and inside Ford Center, we are joined by the head coach as the Cleveland Browns are in town. A noon kickoff at AT&T Stadium. And Coach, the importance of protecting your home field. Is that you had great success at Lambeau Field with the Packers during your time there? Is that something you stress to the team, protecting that home field? How important is it?
Oh, definitely. It's something I think you have to get to where you want to go in this league. Home field advantage is so important, and we're so blessed with a great home field in A&T Stadium. So, I mean, there's an old saying in the NFL: if you win all your home games and split on the road, you'd be at 12-4. And so we haven't gotten it done our first two road games, but it's important for us to establish home field advantage, especially this week, continue it against the Cleveland Browns, but more importantly over this 3-week stretch.
Yeah, 3 straight home games against the Browns, then the Giants and the Cardinals. Browns have won 2 in a row, averaged 35 points a game here the last couple of games. They are a confident team coming in here. Where do you gauge the confidence of your team coming into this one?
Well, I'll tell you, Monday was really good. It's something I think you really learn about. You learn a lot about your football team, especially in year one. You know how they respond after adversity, whether it's throughout a football game or the Monday after. So I like the look of our guys. Obviously everybody was disappointed. It was definitely a football game that was, we had an opportunity to win the football game. But it's a long year. The most important thing for us is to make sure that we don't do the things that we've done in the first 3 games that has put us in this position.
You look at your offensive line. Of course, you're dealing with the injuries at the tackle position and had to do some shuffling in that game against Seattle last week. I want to ask you about Zach Martin, because I know you had a great appreciation for him from afar, and now that you've had a chance to work with him, I would imagine that your appreciation has grown for Zach Martin as he kicked out to play right tackle in that game last week against the Seahawks.
Oh, definitely. I can't say enough about Zach, and just that not only what he's been to this football team over the years, but just really what I've seen from him since upon my arrival. So he's a true pro. His work ethic, just the way he goes about it, and I think it clearly was reflected Sunday against Seattle. His ability to kick out and pretty much split his reps in the game at guard and tackle, and graded out very well. So just a true stud. But I think not only his ability to go out there and perform, but just the confidence and his demeanor that he brings to that offensive line. So I thought those guys really did a good job hanging in there, dealing with the changes, and help putting us in position to possibly win the game.
Okay, and now you're facing a Browns team that features a defensive end that's a pretty good player. We've seen Myles Garrett. He grew up right in the backyard of AT&T Stadium, went to Martin High School, and he's off to a terrific start. How big of a challenge will Myles Garrett be in this game?
He's a huge challenge, no doubt about it. He's an impact player, and I tell you, he's got a tremendous motor, great length, and this will be a big challenge. He's definitely a primary focus for us as the way we view their defense.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of the Mike McCarthy Show. When we come back, we're joined by David Moore, the Dallas Morning News.
The Mike McCarthy Show, presented by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T. Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Built for Texas, built for you. The University of North Texas, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. And by Reliant, an NRG company. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco, now joined by David Moore of the Dallas Morning News, SportsDayDFW.com, as we get you set for the Cowboys and the Browns. And I've got some advice for the Cowboys, David. How about this time, don't fall behind early in this game? What do you think of that bit of advice?
Yeah, I think that's very good. And I think it goes beyond what you just said there. You know, you go back to the Seattle game, they actually opened with a nice drive for a Zerline field goal early and took a 3-0 lead. Now, that was significant for two reasons. One, the 3-0 lead was their largest lead of the season. Two, it only lasted a minute 31. And then suddenly, Tyler Lockett finds himself all alone in the end zone, and they're chasing the rest of the game. And that's what's happened to Dallas in these first three games, is taking your offense off the field. And there's just a domino effect, and Dallas hasn't really been able to overcome that.
Yeah, and that's why your quarterback throws over 50 passes in a game, because you're playing catch up. All right, how about turnovers? How about that turnover ratio? How's that looking about now, David?
Well, that's also, at this stage of the season, Dallas has turned the ball over 6 times and has forced only 2 turnovers. That's a -4. There are only 2 teams in the league that are worse entering week 4. And, you know, much like the jumping to an early lead, you know, it goes beyond that. It's not just that they're turning the ball over. Dallas has been in 3 one-score games and has only won one of them at this point. But when you look at the turnover ratio, opponents have outscored Dallas off those turnovers 31-3. Again, that's just too much for this team to overcome, no matter how explosive the offense is.
And finally, David, just how important is this month for the Cowboys, starting a 3-game homestand against the Browns, the Giants, and then the Cardinals?
Well, I think everyone needs to recalibrate the idea of a home and road game in a pandemic environment in COVID-19. You know, there were no fans in Seattle. There were no fans in LA when Dallas played there. There are fans in Dallas. It's one of the few stadiums in the league that has fans. And I can tell you from being at all 3 of those stadiums in the first 3 weeks, there was a noticeable difference with a crowd being in place in Dallas as opposed to those other teams. So Dallas needs to get on the right track. They need to start a win streak here, and they need to protect the home field.
All right, David Moore of the Dallas Morning News. We appreciate it as usual. And the Mike McCarthy Show continues in a moment. An up-close look at Cowboys rookie cornerback Trevon Diggs.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
The Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy, continues now. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco. It's the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns, a noon kickoff Sunday at AT&T Stadium. And for Trevon Diggs, it's his 4th NFL start. Rob Phillips has more on the rookie cornerback.
To say that Trevon Diggs is learning on the fly is probably an understatement. For a rookie cornerback, there might not be a tougher draw than Diggs' opening 3-game stretch against top NFL receivers. Atlanta's Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, Seattle's Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, the Rams wideouts who really challenge defenses stylistically. With so many injuries at cornerback, Diggs, the Cowboys' 2nd-round pick with 3 career starts, has been the one constant at the position. That's a lot to shoulder. Jared Goff, Matt Ryan, and Russell Wilson are Super Bowl quarterbacks who have thrown Diggs' way quite a bit. But his confidence has not wavered.
I feel like, you know, I've improved, you know, just trying to improve every game. You know, just focusing, you know, just locking in and, you know, just rolling with the punches, honestly. But, you know, just being out there and, you know, more reps I get, the more I'm out there, you know, just the game is becoming slower and everything is becoming, you know, sort of a bit easier as far as, you know, the game speed and things like that. So, you know, just focusing and, you know, just slowing the game down. And I feel like that helps me out a lot.
Diggs' best and most encouraging play against Seattle wasn't the poke out on DK Metcalf, forcing a touchback and preventing a touchdown. It was how Diggs responded against Metcalf later in the game. With 10 minutes remaining, Seattle dialed up another vertical route to Metcalf down the right sideline. This time, Diggs stayed with Metcalf stride for stride, won the jump ball, and nearly picked it off, forcing a punt. More than size and instincts and range, a short memory can separate a great cornerback from a good one. Losing on routes is inevitable. How you respond is critical. Diggs continues to battle. The next challenge, Sunday against Browns receivers Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Another chapter in Trevon Diggs' development. For DallasCowboys.com, I'm Rob Phillips.
Trevon Diggs looking for a big game against Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. And now time for Will McClay to break down a couple of key figures on this Browns team, including defensive end Myles Garrett out of Arlington Martin High School. It's brought to you by WinStar.
Today we're going to take a look at two Cleveland Brown stars, one on defense, Myles Garrett, and the second one, Nick Chubb on the offense, two players that we have to stop to have success. Let's take a look at Myles Garrett and his effect in the run game and the passing game. Sign of a great defensive end is his ability to play the run. We'll look at it here where he has to set the edge, but also the way that he defeats the block and makes the tackle. Here you see the back, he compresses the lane, keeps his outside arm free, back makes a choice, and then he makes the tackle. Now we're going to take a look at what he does best. He's lined up as a wide 9. He's going to go against the tackle. He's going to use his speed. He runs a 4.62 to get the tackle to open up short in the corner. Then he's going to have a rip, and then you're going to see him lean into, finish the sack with another strip sack fumble that he gets. Here you go. Turns the corner. The rip, the ball's out. Not only the sack, but he recovers the fumble. Now we're going to take a look at Nick Chubb, fourth leading rusher in the NFL, and he is the identity of the offense. They got big names on the outside and the quarterback, but Nick Chubb is the guy. Here you'll see a great running back make a guy miss in the hole, then you'll watch him set up a block, get to the second level, and break tackles. Here you go, make the first guy miss in the hole. Now you see his vision. He sets up, he knows the tight end's coming off, sets up the block, breaks 3 tackles for a big gain. Now we're going to take a look at him on a run. They're going to have 2 pullers. He's going to set up his blocks with patience, and then you will see him accelerate through the hole, and again, we will see him breaking tackles. So there's the motion, down, down, they kick out. He sets up the block. Now he sees the lane, he reads his blockers, accelerates, missed 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles, drags defenders into the end zone, touchdown. These 2 players, Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb, are 2 players that we have to stop and contend with to have success on Sunday.
All right, thanks, Will. Up next here on the Mike McCarthy Show, the coach rejoins us, and we talk about this Browns run game. How do you stop Nick Chubb?
Nick, what do you see from Myles Garrett on film?
He's very good. I mean, he's a very good player. So I mean, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy task. I don't really have much, I don't have any one-on-one with him, but I say the key to blocking him is just knowing where he's at all the time. And for me as a running back, that would just be, if I'm releasing out to a route on his side, maybe giving him a chip, giving the tackle a little extra help on my way out. And I mean, that's all I really could do.
Stylistically, do they change from one back to the other, or they kind of attack the same way with both guys?
I mean, they both are elite backs. They have different characteristics about themselves, but a lot of similarities. And at the end of the day, you got to be ready. You got to be ready when they're running through that hole, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take some great team defense to stop these guys.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy, as we take an up-close look at these Cleveland Browns, coached by Kevin Stefanski, who Coach is familiar with throughout your time in Green Bay. Stefanski was an assistant coach with the Minnesota Vikings. Alex Van Pelt, another guy you're very familiar with, who is on your staff with the Packers, the offensive coordinator. But I want to ask you how you think they've affected Baker Mayfield, as Mayfield and this Browns offense is off to a good start, averaging 35 points a game the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think number one, Kevin bringing in a system, and obviously Alex has tremendous experience coaching the quarterback position, and I think just like us, not having the OTAs and the spring football to say, you could see that Baker's off to a really good start. The ability to move him around, they got an excellent run game with the two backs, and just the action game, and the keeps both strong and weak. The waggle passes, so it gives him a chance to just really settle in on first and second down, and had some big play opportunities also. So, but yeah, I see a quarterback that's off to a good start. He looks to be in rhythm.
Yeah, may revamp their offensive line as well. Let's talk about those running backs a little bit. Will McClay took an up-close look at Nick Chubb earlier in the show, but Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're averaging 5.5 yards a carry, and they've combined for 7 touchdowns here through the first 3 games of the season.
Definitely. I thought they were the best combination in the league last year, as a 1-2 punch, and they really have picked up right where they left off. So they're both, they both have the ability to take the ball, all the way to the end zone. The ability to play out of the backfield too, in the passing game. So it starts with the run with Cleveland, and that'll definitely be a key to our success.
Last week against Russell Wilson, 4 sacks, and Wilson had to buy a lot of time. At times, the secondary did a very nice job, it appeared, but you got more pressure on the quarterback, it looked like, a week ago, and of course led by Aldon Smith with his 3 sacks in the game. I guess you can't say enough about what Aldon has meant to this team early on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Aldon has made an impact on our football team. You could see it in week 1. Out there in LA, and he put together another excellent performance in Seattle. I thought our rush lane discipline overall in the pass rush was much better. We took a step there, and the ability to sack Russell and keep him in the pocket for the most part.
And I want to ask you about Antoine Woods, because here's a guy as an inside rusher, can put pressure on the quarterback, an athletic guy inside. How impressed have you been with Antoine so far?
Oh, he's doing a lot of nice things. His versatility. It gives you, flexibility not only just play on normal down and distance, when you look at him, but also, just as you stated, he has the pass rush to play situational defense, and and he's a damn good goal line fullback for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. He seems to enjoy that role as a fullback in that jumbo package.
There's no doubt about it. He definitely has a few celebrations already planned. So we have to break down one of these years and give him the football.
Oh, okay. Now, Dontari Poe has been used in the past when he was in Kansas City. Has he lobbied that he wants that job too?
Not yet, but we're well aware of his skills also.
All right. When we wrap up the Mike McCarthy Show in just a moment, we introduce you to one of the assistant coaches on this staff. Final couple of minutes here of the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. We're taking the opportunity here early in the season to introduce you to some of the new coaches on this staff, assistant coaches. And Mike, how about we talk about your receivers coach, Adam Henry, who of course has a history with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, coached them in college at LSU, and then he was with the Browns, and now he's doing a terrific job with your wide receiving core here in Dallas, isn't he?
Definitely. Adam is a great addition to our staff, and I can't say enough, but first his expertise at the wide receiver position, but really just his knowledge and background in the passing game. So I mean, he's a joy to work with. We have a lot of laughs, but if you look at his resume and the places he's been, I'll tell you, he's exactly what you're looking for. So really glad he's here with us in Dallas.
All right, here at home, you get to have fans in the stands. Was it noticeable in the home opener? And what advice do you give those 21,000 or so that will be there at this game?
I'll tell you what, it's night and day, and it's a joy to have our fans there and just be as loud, or hopefully louder than you were against the Falcons. But yeah, it's a huge difference. I can't tell you how quiet, how different it is to play in a quiet stadium. But our fans have they've made it so realistic, and it's just such a great atmosphere to compete in.
All right, in the first of 3 straight home games against the Browns, noon at AT&T Stadium. Thanks, Coach, and we'll see you again next week. And we appreciate all of you for joining us for the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy.
The Mike McCarthy Show, presented by Reliant, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Built for Texas, built for you. Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.